From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
What a point to end it on. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition here on Atlantic Television Network. What a weekend! Rivers Hoopers has emerged as the 10th best basketball team on the continent of Africa. And beyond basketball, we'll look at the French Open that is getting into very feverish stages. Looking at some games that have gone into 5-setters. And across in the world of football, quite a lot is happening, and I can tell you Cristiano Ronaldo is in tears after losing the Kings Cup final in Saudi Arabia. Details of this and many more will be yours when we return from the break.
Oh, what a point to end it on. So now this is when they're at their best. That's when they're 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to our Well, he'd love to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals.
Welcome back. Exciting weekend here upon us, and here on Atlantic Television Network will bring you a very special edition of Sports Extraordinary. With me on the show is Kingsley Maswell.
Thank you very much for having me, Siri. Very happy to be here this weekend.
Very happy indeed, because Rivers Hoopers has emerged as the 3rd best basketball team on the continent of Africa. The Basketball League in Africa has come and rounded up this weekend. Before we get at which team won the Basketball League for Season 4, which is in 2024, first let's look at the feat as achieved by Rivers Hoopers. The Kingsmen, they popularly called from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. They did represent Nigeria at the Basketball League. They took place in Kigali, at the KB Arena in Kigali. This is not the first time Rivers Hoopers are actually into the Basketball League. At the inaugural edition, they were there. They didn't attend the 2nd edition because of a maladministration of the Basketball Federation here in Nigeria. And they missed out on the 3rd edition that was represented. The Aquara Bombers did represent Nigeria. And now we are having Rivers Hoopers represent Nigeria at the 4th edition of the Basketball League in Africa. And they seem to have set a lot of records on their way to winning the 3rd place prize. First, they are the first basketball team from Africa to win a basketball league match, and from Nigeria to win a basketball league match. They are the very first to move into the playoff stage of the competition. No Nigerian team has gone into the playoff of the competition. And as if that was not enough, they've just won the 3rd place match at the Basketball League in Africa. Kingsley, no one gave them a chance of going this far. In fact, speaking to the coach in one of the training sessions, I personally talked to him there, and he told me that they were just going to Kigali to qualify from the Sahara Conference, where they did play to qualify, and they just didn't qualify. They were first seed, or they qualified first from the Sahara Conference. So for me, Rivers Hoopers have surmounted most expectations, or nearly all. If they had won, yes, they would have been in Cloud 9. But 3rd place, on the 2nd bounce, isn't a bad one for Kojaudo and his men from Port Harcourt, Nigeria.
Yes, isn't a bad one. For me, isn't a bad performance at all from what we've seen from Rivers Hoopers. Just like you mentioned, before they moved down to Lagos, where they had their final training before moving to Senegal for the Conference League. Nobody gave them that opportunity, to be able to go this far in the competition, especially when we saw that group, which everyone tagged as a group of death group, where we have US Monastir, APR of Rwanda, and AS Douanes of Senegal. Everyone thought it was going to be done and dusted for Rivers Hoopers, not knowing that, of course, they've actually done their homework well by injecting some foreign-based players who has actually helped them, of course, to go this far. The likes of Will Perry, Kevin Amayo, Divine AK, Olisemeka, these are players, of course, that actually, put up their best to make sure Rivers Hoopers, get down to this stage.
Will Perry, the man you can see on your screen there with the white skin, is what a lot of people call journeyman in African basketball. He's an American, but he's played in a couple of countries across Europe and in Africa.
Yeah, but he had a very, very impressive tournament, for himself. I think for me, most of the games the River Supers won, of course, were due to his effort, due to his performance, So I think in about 3 or 4 games, he had about, almost 30-something points, he put up 3-pointers. Of course, we know how he was also very good in his own 3-pointers as well. So for me, it was really an impressive performance for River Supers, who saw them, of course, getting past team that we never expected them to get past, the likes of US Monastir, APR. You talk about AS Donors as well. This is a very impressive performance. Beating Cape Town Tigers in the 3rd place game was another huge performance for them. It was so unfortunate that they couldn't get past Al-Ahly Benghazi of Libya, to get down to the final. They did their best, that game of have to go to overtime, and it was a very huge struggle, of course, before Al-Ahly Benghazi, got that particular victory. So for me, it's been a very impressive ride for River Supers, putting up those impressive records. First Nigerian team to get to the playoff of the Basketball African League, first Nigerian basketball team as well to get to finish, to get to podium finish in the Basketball African League. This means a whole lot, for River Supers. And not only that, the coach of the side, Ogo Daldo, yesterday was voted the best coach of the tournament. I think for me, it's a very huge statement, for him and as well as his team. And I think for me, this is a wake-up call, for basketball down here in Nigeria. I think the MBBF should look forward to see how they can revive basketball so that we can possibly see how to put our teams down here together, so that whenever we get to competitions like this, we'll see our basketball team, challenging very, very well. And someone would say, if not because of the foreign-based players that were injected into this one, maybe River Supers would not have gone this far. But thanks to the governor of the state, who was able to hear that cry and be able to bring in those players, and that's why we've seen this level of success for the team. It's been an impressive performance for them, and we hope that, of course, this level of performance will not relent. They finished 3rd place, and we're looking forward for the next edition for the Basketball African League.
River State Governor Similar Efubara doing his best. In his first 1 year in office, there's been a lot of the record in the world of sports, and now he's been able to sponsor a team from Nigeria that has emerged as the first team from Nigeria to win a 3rd place match in a basketball league in Africa. In fact, right now, River Supers from Port Harcourt, Nigeria, is the 3rd, let's say, the best team from Africa, from Nigeria, at the basketball league so far. Like we mentioned before, they've been there before. They couldn't even, win a game. But this is the first time we are seeing a Nigerian team win. And as if winning was not enough, they qualified as the first place team from the Sahara Conference in Dakar, Senegal, where they partook in, and moved on to the playoff. And from the playoff, they were in the semi-final, and of course did lose in that final game. But the team that beat them in the final, Kingsley, is the winner of the competition.
Yeah, the team that beats them in that was the semi-final.
Semi-final?
Yes, they lost, to
Rwanda.
Yeah.
Petro Rwanda right now are the new champions of basketball in Africa. Talking about Petro Rwanda, they have been into the final a couple of times, and this is their time to shine, so to say, because in the basketball league that just got concluded, we saw all the 3 North African sides that have always emerged as champions, knocked out before the final. So Petro Rwanda from South Africa has now emerged as the champion of basketball here. The very first time they will do that as champions in the basketball league, which is just 4 seasons, is at the 4th stage.
Impressive one, and I tell you, the East Africans, they are very happy because with this victory for Petro Rwanda, they've ended the dominance of North African teams, when it has to do with the Basketball African League. You can remember the first edition of the tournament was won by Al-Ahly of Egypt. The second of was won by US Monastir. The 3rd edition was won by Zamalek as well. These are all North African teams. But Petro Rwanda, of course, coming up this time around to defeat another North African team, talking about Al-Ahly Benghazi of Libya, I think was a very impressive performance. No one gave them that opportunity to be able to go that far. It ended 107 to 94 in that particular encounter. I think they were very, very good, on that particular one. That's how, of course, we saw that level of victory for them. So it's a very huge victory for Petro de Luanda, ending that dominance of the North African side in the Basketball African League. I mean, this is a very huge statement of intent that, basketball in Angola is gradually gaining momentum. Of course, you talk about Angola, I know they are very good in basketball, just like you mentioned, seeing them in a couple of finals in the Basketball African League. And for me, I think they really deserve that particular victory. When you take a look at the way they played against the Giants, Ahali Benkasi side, if you take a look at the players in that side, they're very, very tall.
Very tall players.
And they have the balance, of course, on the court. So for me, it was a very impressive performance for Petro de Luanda and Luanda. And we hope, of course, they go all the way, in maintaining the same form, especially in the, next edition of the Basketball African League.
Just so we can give you more information coming from the world of basketball, and especially with the concluded championship in the Kigali, Rwanda. We talked about defense being the problem of Rivers Hoopers, and they've had an excellent tournament so far, but we didn't see any of the players named into the all defensive side of the basketball league in Africa. We had the player Sele from Cape Town Tigers. We had a player from El Benghazi. We have player from AS Douanes, making it all defensive team. In fact, we had a player as well from FUS Rabat of Morocco. No player from the defense side of Rivers Hoopers made that all defensive first team for the basketball league.
For me, I think defense was really the problem of Rivers Hoopers, in this game, especially when you take a look at the semi-final encounter against Ahali Benkasi. They had some defensive errors, and that's why we saw them, of course,
the first quarter, first quarter and the second quarter was very difficult for them.
Very, very difficult. They had a really abysmal performance in the first quarter, even the second quarter as well. And this was all as a result of, poor defense, for the Rivers Super side. At some point, we saw John Wickens, back down. But his best, of course, was not really good enough, to save things, on some of the games we've seen. And that's why, of course, we're not able to see any of the players, any of the defenders, in that particular list. And I think that was the area everyone was beckoning on them, to improve on. They had a little bit of impressive performance when it has to do with the offensive side of things. But the defense, was nothing really to write home about. And they fell short in that one. I think that's the area Ogoldado really have to look at for, to make sure that, he puts the team, intact.
Congratulations to Petro de Luanda of Angola. In 2021, they were in the semi-final and they lost. In 2023, they as well lost at the semi-final. If you remember, in 2022, they were in the very final and they were beaten by US Monastir of Tunisia. So this time around, they have been able to take out their opponents from Benghazi, Libya, Ahali of Benghazi, and it is congratulations to the team from Southern Africa. Like we mentioned to you, the dominance of Northern African teams in basketball has come to an end with the basketball league here in Africa. Congratulations. We hope to see the team arrive any moment soon back to Nigeria. I think it should be to a tumultuous welcome. Kingsley, let's stay away from basketball now and go to the other major news this weekend in the world of sports, and it has to do with the first international marathon to be held in the city of Port Harcourt. And this took place this weekend, and it's been a joyous one for especially the winners. The first place winner, male and female, had $10,000 US plus 5 million naira, courtesy of the River State government.
It was a very huge one, as it is. I think the $10,000, will actually go a long way. I think that, of course, is about, almost 15 million naira. In a way, take a look at the conversion rates down.
Yeah, but talking about this exercise, we saw the winners emerge in shortly a little bit above 2 hours, and it's sharing that you earn, nearly 25 million naira after an effort of 2 hours, after working for 2 hours. The governor did talk about a little bit of disappointment that Rivers athletes didn't win the top prize, that it would have been nice that the money was, kept back in River State. But again, we had a winner from Jos. We have another winner from Kenya, who the female who won at the event. But let's look at it critically. from the second to the 20th place athletes at the just concluded marathon in Port Harcourt will earn 1 million naira for their effort. What a way to encourage people to take to marathon and as well boost economy in the state. That's on one side, but importantly, a lot of people will now begin to get engaged, and via marathon. We talked about football and the other sports, basketball, bringing food to the table of families. Now we can see that marathon as well could bring food to the table. This is a 42-kilometer race, and like I mentioned, after 2 hours and few minutes, a family could benefit, or an athlete could benefit to the tune of 25 million naira.
It's actually a very huge one, looking at the fact that from the second to down to the 20th position, of course, will be going with 1 million. I think for me that's a very huge amount of money presently, of course, in the country. When you take a look at how things are, especially the economic status for the country, going home with that amount of money, of course, I tell you, it's a very huge one, at this point in time for so many people. I think it's a very good way of motivating people, of course, to go into sports and not looking at the fact that sometimes there are nothing much for people to do in the country. Sometimes, if you could look at it, most of the people do not have jobs. And at this point in time, I think it's a good initiative from the Rivers State government, of course, tilting people's mind and eyes towards sports. I think for me, 1 million naira is a very huge one, of course, at this point in time for those athletes going back home with that huge amount of money. For me, it's actually a good one, and for the winner as well, a huge amount of money at this point in time. So unfortunately, just like the governor said, that the winner did not come from Rivers State. We actually expected,
but subsequently we understand it will be a yearly event. At least other marathoners and athletes now look forward to earning huge from taking part in marathon.
Yes, for me, I think is a huge call, for Rivers people at this point in time. Of course, I remember when EWP Society chairman of the organizing committee was talking yesterday. He mentioned the fact that Rivers people do not really major on marathon races; that they major more on oil and bowler. That's what they're really known for. But I think this is a wake-up call for Rivers people, to see that there's another direction. Of course, the state government is tilting to at this point in time for them to also shift their attention, towards marathon. And you never can tell at this point, we'll be able to look at for marathoners, people that could represent Nigeria when it has to do with long-distance races. And you could tell we saw Ethiopians, we also saw Kenyans,
Yeah, I actually spoke to Pelina, the lady that won the top prize, and that's the lady you see on your left-hand side of the screen, on the right-hand side of the screen there, on my left as well. She was full of praise for the Rivers State government for providing, very nice routes which they followed, and the people being very friendly. And for me, that speaks volume, because a lot of people have talked about security concerns, and there was no breach of security, and in fact, there was no emergency in all of the 42 kilometers where this marathon took place.
Yeah, we must give kudos to the state government and the organizers for being able, of course, to make sure that, some road, of course, were blocked, to make sure that, the marathoners, of course, had a successful run, at the end of the day. It was really an impressive one. I think the level of organization, was really, really top-notch. And the welfare of the athletes, very, very important. I remember, I think, one of the Nigerian athlete yesterday, was talking about, their welfare. Most of the time, she said most of the time, their welfare is not being properly taken care of. Even at when they even tend to finish the race, they don't get the money they earn, in time. And she actually attributed that to be one of the reasons why Nigerian marathoners, of course, do not perform well globally. Maybe this will be a change of narrative from what we're seeing down here in Rivers State at this point in time, and we're hoping to see a difference, in the future at this point in time. But for me, kudos to the governors, and kudos to the organizers for making sure that the welfare of the athlete, the foreign athletes especially, they were being taken care of, and as well the successful hosting of the marathon race.
First international marathon to be held in the city of Port Harcourt is come and gone. What a weekend this did happen. Time for us to take a break here. When we return from the break, we'll go into ever busy world of tennis. The French Open is entering into very crucial stages now, and one lady, Iga Swiatek, the world #1 in female tennis, is celebrating her birthday with a win. When we return from the break, we'll let you know about that. And in football, Cristiano Ronaldo is all tears, courtesy of the fact that he lost at the King's Cup final. When we return from the break, so much to talk about from the world of football. Welcome back. It's a weekend of Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. We told you about how Rivers Hoopers has emerged as the third best basketball team in Africa in Kigali, Rwanda this weekend. And as well of the marathon event that took place in the city of Port Harcourt this weekend as well. $10,000 plus 5 million. That's cumulative almost about 25 million for winner of the top prize both in the male and the female category. And of course, if you did come second to the 20th position, you had a 1 million naira bank balance at the end of just about 2 hours or under 3 hours of performance. And I think that is a good one. This is an encouragement. We understand it's going to be a yearly event, so more to come in the next year. And beyond that, let's quickly now Kingsley go to tennis. And talking about tennis, the biggest event ongoing right now in the world of tennis is the French Open. Of course, you know it is a grand slam. A lot of points is at stake. But beyond the point, first let's look at how the females are performing. One lady who coming to this tournament came with 2,000 points from the Madrid Open and of course the Italian Open. Iga Swiatek, the world #1 in female tennis, is continuing with her performances, not dropping a set so far, and she's into the third round. And this weekend happens to be her birthday, and she celebrated it with style, a win over Marie Boskova in at the third round of the French Open.
Impressive ride, for Iga Swiatek. What a way to celebrate her birthday. And for me, it's been an impressive one for her. After surviving that huge contest against
6-4, 6-2 straight sets.
Yeah, 6-4, 6-2 straight sets. For her in this one. I think for me it's been an impressive one. After surviving that, huge contest against Naomi Osaka, I know she's up to something, in this particular one. Don't forget she's the defending champion for the French Open, and a lot of person that attributed her to be the new king of clay, at this point in time, where you take a look at.
She's won 17 matches on the roll now at the French Open, and still counting. It wouldn't be out of place to call her the queen. Females don't really stay consistent on the clay that much.
Yeah, they don't really stay consistent, and we've really seen high level of consistency for Iga Swiatek, especially since this season got started. She's been on her toes. She's been doing greater things on the courts, and I tell you, this is another one for her to see how she can possibly add another Grand Slam to her Grand Slam tally as it is. And for me, it's been an impressive.
She's won twice already at the French Open in her career.
Yeah. And it's a plus for her. And you take a look at it, it's a terrain that she really understands very well, and not a very, it's not an unfamiliar, ground for her. And I think for me, taking a look at it, she has what it takes, to go all the way, to hold this one. We know there are other big name players, still on seeing the game, the likes of Arina Sabalenka. We still have the likes of Coco Gauff as well. They're also in the midst. These are players you could say can possibly stop her. But when you take a look at the level of performance, you will say she's really on her game. And she'll be looking forward, of course, maybe to get down to the final and winning this one once again.
World #1 in female tennis, taking out world #42 Boskova. She now has Anastasia Potokova to contend with at the 4th round. Can she be troubled by the lady from Russia?
We'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and see how that contest will look like. Every game is always a very huge contest, This is the French Open. This is where, players, come out to see how they can be able to put things right for themselves. So you can actually write out, any opponent, no matter how small, the opponent is at this point in time. You have to go all the way to see how you can get the victory. So what happened against, Naomi Osaka that just came back from maternity leave? No one expected Naomi Osaka to have challenged, Iga Swiatek in that manner. So you just have to come up with your A game, no matter the level of opponent you're playing, to make sure that, you get things, done and dusted. I think for me, there is no time, no moment to underrate anybody. Iga Swiatek should just come up and see how she can be able to, of course, continue, her impressive performance we've seen so far this year.
Talking about performances that is impressive at the ongoing French Open in Paris, we've seen Ons Jabeur, take out her opponent in the second round. Ons Jabeur, of course, is Africa's pride. She from Tunisia and the only African that has consistently been to the Grand Slam final 3 times. She's not been able to win, but it looks like she's on her way again this time around. She took out the respected Elena Fernandez in straight set, 6-4, 6-7.
Very impressive.
7-6.
Yeah, very impressive performance for Ons Jabeur. Lena Fernandez, I think she came into limelight. I think that was 3 seasons ago when we saw Emma Raducanu, of course, winning her 4th Grand Slam. I think she has not been that, fantastic, but we've seen her in some couple of, WTA tournament, and she's been trying to spring up herself, but her best has not really been good enough. But for Ons Jabeur, I think it's a very good performance for her. I think she's trying, of course, to maintain some level of, momentum in this particular French Open. We understand how she has actually suffered when it has to do with, winning a Grand Slam. And I think for her, for me, this is another opportunity for her to be able to try, and see what she'll be able to do. Of course, we understand there are so many tough opponents, on her way. The likes of Arina Sabalenka, Coco Gauff is still there, defending champion Iga Swiatek. It's going to be a very tough one, tall mountain for Ons Jabeur. I think she has what it takes, when you take a look at her level of performance, so far. I think she has what it takes to go all the way and see how she can win a Grand Slam for herself.
Ons Jabeur, Africa's best in the female tennis. She's been to the final of the Grand Slam thrice, but she's not been able to make it. We wish her the very best of luck as she passed on to the 3rd round of this year's French Open. Talking about how the females are performing at the French Open in Paris, Elina Sabalenka, everybody knows her to be world number 2 capable. She took out her best friend Paula Badosa at the 2nd round. What does it mean to play against your best friend and you win her to move to the next stage of the competition?
It was really an emotional one, for Elina Sabalenka. Of course, she's usually so emotional. And we saw the emotion, plays, after she won that one. We saw her, giving Poskova a very huge hug down there. But for me, it is what it is. You have to, get past your opponent. That's what the game is all about. You don't have to, have pity for anybody. You have to see how you can win your own and be able to go through. And that's what we saw Arina Sabalenka did. She's actually pushing up very strongly. Don't forget, this is another impressive momentum, another impressive time for her to see how she can be able to win another Grand Slam, for herself. It's been a very huge tussle between her and Iga Swiatek, the defending champion of the competition. We saw how Iga Swiatek was able to outclass her in the Thailand Open, as well as the Madrid Open as well. This time it's going to be another moment. So I think she don't have to, consider any, pity or being so emotional. That's why she was able to get past her friend and get down to the next stage of the competition.
No upset yet in the female category, you want to say?
Yeah, no serious upset yet, apart from Naomi Osaka, which hosted out. No upset. Obviously, that was really an upset. For me,
she's just coming back from her maternity leave, and so you expect her to at least gradually get back to form.
Yeah, but we've seen some, upset for some players like Daniel Collins, the likes of Jelena Ostapenko as well. They were being hosted out by, some relatively unknown players, in this particular one. But the big names are still there. The likes of Iga Swiatek, Arina Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, Ons Jabeur, they are still there. There are no major upsets yet so far in the female category.
Well, there's no major upset at the female category. Let's see whether there's been one in the male side of the court. Kingsley, do we have any? Because we know that the biggest one for me has been Rafa Nadal, the homeboy, do I say the owner of the court. He's won at the French Open 14 times. But this time around, he was knocked out very early in his very first game at the French Open. It's never happened before that Rafa Nadal will lose the first match at the French Open, where he has dominated for, won 14 times, so to say.
Yeah, it was a very huge, upset for me. I was actually being hosted out by Alexander Zverev, in that particular encounter, and everyone expected it because, for Rafa Nadal, it has not been that easy for the man. When you take a look at, how he has struggled with injury for a couple of years now, coming back, everyone didn't actually expect him to be that, Rafa Nadal we used to know. Everyone expecting, of course, to recuperate and see how he can bounce back. And was a very impressive outing against Zverev, but Zverev, who was very much in form and has been competitive, so far, actually took that advantage and was able, of course, to host him out of for the competition. For me, I think possibly we might see Rafa Nadal, still in tennis if his body allows him, according to him. That's what he said, after he lost, to Alexander Zverev. We just hope that maybe he will still continue and see what he'll be able to do for himself. But for me, I think that's been one of the major upsets we've seen in the male category. We'll see some other upsets, the likes of Hubert Hurkacz and Rublev.
I was going to ask about Andy Murray. He's crashed out of the competition as well, and a lot of people think that this should be his swan song. He should try to maybe think of retiring from the game. And in fact, someone's gone ahead to say that this is his final appearance at the French Open.
Yeah, for Andy Murray, this is his final appearance, according to him. He said this is going to be his last, season, and so sad that, of course, he was actually being, hosted out, from the competition. Andy Murray is one man also who have suffered. I think injury has not really been that friendly with some of the tennis legends, and injury has been one of the setback for them when it has to do with them calling it quits, in their career. For Andy Murray, since he actually had a hip, surgery, I think that was back in 2019 or 20. The man has been struggling so well, and for what it is, I think his body can no longer carry him of giving that level of energy that he needs. And that's why, of course, the man is struggling at this point in time. But so disappointing that he lost out at this stage for the competition. And we look forward to see him maybe in the other Grand Slam as well as at the other ATP tournaments and see how far he'll be able to do and what he'll be able to grab before the season comes to an end for him.
Well, something seems to have happened at the French Open, and it has to do with Denis Shapovalov. He's been beaten by Hubert Hurkacz. Did you expect Denis to lose to Hubert?
Not really, but you definitely give it up to Hubert Hurkacz. The man has a little bit been consistent, for some time now, and he's been showing some level of improvement, in his game. And I think for me, for that result, not really surprising, because I also think that, Hubert Hurkacz, has what it takes on a very good day to be able to outclass, Shapovalov in that particular encounter. Well,
talking about the upsets at the French Open, and in the male category, we've just given you a few names: Rafa Nadal, Andy Murray, as those who have had to crash out, Denis Shapovalov as well. But with the star of Rafa Nadal at the French Open, a lot of expectation now from the Spanish side is on Carlos Alcaraz. He was able to take Sebastian Korda, at the second round. Is he really fit to maybe win this French Open?
According to the man, he said he's back to his form, and we'll just hope to see how far he'll be able to go in this competition. I think he's been able to play about 2 or 3 games now, and that for me, huge statement, for Carlos Alcaraz. I take a look at the other tournaments, he has not been very fantastic, but we're able to see how far he'll be able to go in this particular. We understand that there are several opposition on his way. Djokovic is still in the mix, at this point. Yannick Sinner, of course, is still in the mix. Daniel Medvedev is still in the mix. Alexander Zverev is still in the mix. These are players that could possibly give Alcaraz a very tough time heading down to the quarterfinals or semi-final stage, or for the competition, or maybe the final as well. We just hope to see how good and how formidable, of course, he will be heading down to the end part for the competition.
Well, we'll just hope that this will throw up some more interesting fixtures as we go into the 3rd and 4th round. And maybe by next weekend when we return back, we'll let you know some of the big names that we've had, because by then we should be cruising to the very final of the Grand Slam, French Grand Slam this season. Yannick Sinner is one man a lot of people are putting their eyes on. He is powering on so well at this French Open.
Yeah, Yannick Sinner, and for me, I think the man is looking very, very optimistic for something huge. Don't forget, a semi-final stage, meeting for him would definitely, of course, give him that edge to contest for the world #1 position. And I don't think he wants to take his eyes, away from that particular, achievement for him this time around. And I think for me, it means a whole lot. For Djokovic, he's still pushing, looking forward to see how he can finish the season, the French Open, in a very good fashion. It's been an abysmal season, for him, starting so far without winning a title for himself, not like the Novak Djokovic we used to know. But for Yannick Sinner, I think when you take a look at his performance and the way he's been able to play, you definitely give it up to him that the man is up to something, and we look forward to see how far he'll be able to go. He's been so fantastic this season when it has to do with the ATP, and we look forward to see if he can get this one once again.
Well, let's hope that he will get it, and it's been an interesting French Open so far. The crowd and the umpires have been up to their game, and the players as well giving their very best. Weather conditions not seeming to be of any hindrance at all.
Yeah, it's we've seen some games, being postponed due to heavy downpour, down there in Paris, in France down there. And for me, I think maybe they should actually look for a way to see how they can maybe make the courts more better. But I think the courts, they have been actually positioned, and so some of the games, we understand were actually postponed due to rain, and all of that. But I think for me, I'll be able to see the game, of course, being played at the end of the day when the weather, of course, is favorable for play.
Well, let's hope it will be. And quickly now, let's look at football on the continent of Africa this weekend. The Nigerian Premier League seems to continue towards the closing stages. We have just about 5 games or 6 to wrap up the season.
Yeah, just about 5 games now to wrap up the season. This weekend, we will see match day 34, and it promises to be an exciting one, as it is. And some interesting fixtures, of course, will be coming to the screen of some of to the fans. We'll see Rivers United against Enyimba Football Club, this weekend. That game will be played at the Aba Stadium, the home of Enyimba Football Club. That will mean a whole lot, for them, because Enyimba are also looking forward to see how to close up the gap against Enugu Rangers. Of course, take a look at the point difference between both teams, just about 4-point difference, as it stands. And from what we've seen at this point in time, it should be a must-win for the People's Elephants in order to see how they can close their gap. Enugu Rangers are also, in action as well this weekend, so they'll be looking forward to see how to go all the way to win their encounter. Enugu Rangers will be locking horns against Sporting Lagos, and that will be a very interesting encounter. A must-win it is, for Enugu Rangers, because they win, they stand a chance, to contend for the title. For Sporting Lagos, it's also a must-win for them, because if they win, they also look for a means of elevating themselves, from going down the relegation zone. So it promises to be an exciting one. Even Akwa United, they also have an interesting encounter this weekend. So we look forward to see how match day 34 in the Nigerian Premier Football League will pan out.
Finally, Enyimba, in this encounter between Rivers United and Enyimba International, it's been confirmed now that Coach Stanley Guma has been asked by the management of Rivers United and his assistant, Evans Ogehi, to oversee the technical department till the end of the season. Poor results has been cited as the reason why Stanley Guma was sacked.
Yeah, poor results, if you take a look at it, from what we've seen at this point in time, Rivers United, they've not been the best. If you take a look at their performance, last season as well, you will see, of course, they've not done well. Yes, you say the last 2 seasons, they were able to get down to the quarterfinal stage of the CAF Confederation Cup, but they were not still able to get past that stage, and you see a very poor one, as it stands. And this season as well, they at some points were struggling in the relegation zone. You take a look at the 5 matches, the outstanding matches they played, they were not able to gather, enough results, from that particular one. And then I think it's been an abysmal one, for Coach Stanley Guma the last 2 seasons, in Rivers United. And I think that's why the man, of course, has been asked, of course, to vacate the position as the manager of the side. I think he's the longest serving manager in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Since 2008, he was given that particular job. The man has been managing the side, up to this moment. You will see a couple of, achievements for Stanley Guma. He won the league. That was in 2021 season, and was able to go far a bit, taking the team to the CAF Confederation Cup quarterfinal stage back to back. A little bit of achievement, you will say, for Coach Stanley Eguma, and this time we'll be seeing what Evans are going. Of course, he's acting on interim basis. We'll see who comes in, for Rivers United, going forward.
Away from the league, let's look at this is a weekend where teams begin to prepare for the onslaught at qualifying for the World Cup in 2026. Here in Africa, in the next 5 days or so, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on their counterparts from South Africa, the Bafana, at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. But the news coming from the camp is not very cheering. Ahead of the players arriving in Nigeria, a lot of pullouts have had to take place because of injury. Most of the strikers, invited by Finidi George, now having to take excuse of not reporting to camp because of injury concerns. Victor Sime, principal among them. What do you think this portends for the match between Nigeria and South Africa? Very crucial, because if you don't get maximum points, then it looks like Nigeria will be treading on not appearing at the World Cup that will take place in 3 countries for the first time in the history of FIFA World Cup.
For me, I think it's a little bit of a disappointment. Looking at the fact that Victor Osimhen, of course, is out of this one. The other day we heard of Nathan Taylor, of course, giving an excuse that, of course, he won't be participating in this one. And I think not only the attacking line as well, we've also seen the defense also, some of our best defenders also being dropped, the likes due to injury, the likes of Ololuwa Aina, Kenneth Umero. Williams Tuchel is actually in the country at the moment. He's in Akwa Ibom State, and trying to see how he can raise his foundation down there. But according to what the reports we got this weekend, is that the man said he's fit, that he doesn't know the reason why he was actually being omitted. But it is what it is. He won't be playing in that particular qualifier. But I think up front we still have some couple of players that could actually do the magic for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Victor Boniface, of course, is one of them. We have the likes of Paul Onuachu as well. Kelechi Iheanacho is also one man up front as well for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Terry Murphy, and the rest of them. I think they can possibly do this job, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And for the defense, I think we have some couple of defenders who can also do the job, at the end of the day. But the absence of this player, I think no matter how Finidi George will want to go about and try how to, of course, make their absence not to be felt, we'll still feel the absence of William Trusekon, especially in the defense. Ololuwa, I know, we saw his impact in the African Cup of Nations. Even Kenneth Umero, the assistant captain of the team. These are players that their impact, of course, will be felt, on the day. And this is not a very common encounter. It's against the Bafana of South Africa. We saw how intense it was at the African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. The Super Eagles have to, of course, survive that one by whiskers. It ended in penalty shootout, and that was how Stanley Wabale, of course, was able to help them, get that, impressive victory. But this time, we understand we're going to be playing at home. It's going to be a very difficult one, despite the fact we're playing. So we understand how synergized the Bafana our players are. They play in the same league, and they understand themselves, very well. So for me, it's going to be a tight encounter. But we hope that Finidi George will be able to bring, his managerial tactics and experience to see how to, cover up the gap and the lapses we've seen due to the absence of the skilled players in the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Well, let's go across from Africa and now go to Europe. And the biggest football news in Europe this weekend has to do with the eminent appointment of Coach Jose Mourinho as the coach of Fenerbahce of Turkey. Of course, Jose Mourinho is one man who has been to Paris Saint-Germain, has been to Manchester United, he's been to Chelsea, he has been to Roma in Italy. A journeyman, I must say, in football. And something interesting about Jose Mourinho, everywhere he goes, he wins title. This time around, he's been sacked by Roma just a few months ago. He's been out of job. But Fenerbahce, having come second in the Turkish league behind Galatasaray, believes that that 2 points that he lost, that could have made them champions, could have been won if they had the quality of Jose Mourinho. So this weekend, Jose Mourinho, former coach of Chelsea, of course, Real Madrid, Porto in Portugal, and of course mentioned them, is now going to Europe, and they're talking about Turkey per se. Jose Mourinho, the man on your screen there, is saying that he wants to take the job. The club side has confirmed negotiations with him, so I think it's just the signing that is remaining, and Jose Mourinho will be going across to Turkey. This is one man, I just say football followers around the world miss when he's not on the touchline.
Yeah, a lot of person, of course, will miss Jose Mourinho. Actually, miss Jose Mourinho due to the period of time. Of course, he was being relieved of his job by AS Roma. I understand what he was able to do for AS Roma. It took them to the Europa League, final.
He lost.
He lost. So unfortunate against Sevilla, and was able to.
He was sacked at the time. The team was placed ninth on the table, and the season has come to an end now. And they brought in Daniel Rossi. Rossi who managed to improve them on 3 places because they ended the season at the 6th place position on the Italian Serie A.
Yeah, I think for Jose it was a different case as well. The man was complaining of not having enough funds, to be able to inject players, to run the side. And of course, understand Jose Mourinho and his pattern of football. He needs those quality players to be able to put up, his own tactics and his own pattern of game. So when the money is not there, it becomes a little bit difficult, of course, for him to, be able to put up his tactics, in the team. But he had a little bit, quite an impressive time down there as Erosma. Going down to Fenerbahce, a lot of people will see it as, a lay down, probably not a kind of team that we should find a manager like, Jose Mourinho. But I seem to understand his points and his view headed down to, Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce, they've qualified for the Champions League, so that's an advantage for him. We'll be seeing Jose Mourinho managing Fenerbahce in the Champions League if this deal is done and dusted. So for me, I think that's one of the reasons he actually, put pen to paper on that deal.
Well, we have to wrap up the show, but just before we wrap up the show, let's bring you just one more story across, and this is coming from the Far East, Asia, and Saudi Arabia to be specific. We have Cristiano Ronaldo losing in the Kings Cup final this weekend. They lost on penalties to Al Nassr of Saudi Arabia. Kingsley, it's sad. He's emerged as the player with the most goals in the history of the league in Saudi Arabia. He had thought that he would win the Kings Cup and take that as a trophy because his team actually came second, behind the team that won, Al-Ittihad that won, Al-Hilal that won at the Saudi League. But it didn't happen. He was so full of tears a few hours ago, unconsolable this weekend. Cristiano Ronaldo not wanting to lose at all.
Not wanting to lose at all. He has that winning mentality. He always wants to be a champion, at every point in time. The man has done so well since he joined the Saudi League. He has scored 58 goals. He has scored 58 goals in 64 games so far for Al-Ahly. He is able to win just one trophy, which is the last year Arab, club championship, and since then he has not been able to lay his hand on any title. He had about 3 titles to have won this year, but he lost all 3, and this was the one he was trying to lay his hand, and of course we saw how it went down in the penalty shootout, and Al-Ahly of course took that from me. I think for me it was very disappointing when you take a look at the level of effort he's put for Al-Nassr this season. Well,
that will be it. We'll have to wrap up the show proper now, and it has to do with our sports extraordinaire for this weekend. It couldn't have been any other person than Coach Ogo Daudo, the basketball coach of Rivers Hoopers that came 10th. He's the first coach, Nigerian coach, to qualify for the Basketball League in Africa. Now he has emerged as the coach of the Basketball League Season 4 in Africa. Couldn't have been any, in fact, I'm so short of words, but Coach Daudo has done what maybe some you say Napoleon could not do. The first Nigerian coach to qualify for Basketball League, the first to go to the playoff, and of course he has now emerged as the overall coach for Basketball League season in a squad or in a season where they had 3 former champions. But he turned out to be the best coach for season 4 in Kigali.
Extraordinary performance, for Coach Ogo Daudo. For me, I think we should give it up to him. He deserves everything he's won.
Coach Daudo, our sports extraordinary for this weekend. We'll definitely be back next weekend with yet another bumper edition of Sports Extraordinary. Until then, remember, I say team spirit is it at the end of the day. That's what took Rivers Hoopers to the 3rd place position at the Basketball League this year. We'll return back next weekend.
Greenwood's went for the goal. Goalkeeper